Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. It is Tuesday and you are cooking with Evey, where every week I'm creating a new creative dish with healthy foods that are quick and easy to make using seasonal and anti-inflammatory foods. So you look better and feel better. And the good news is I do this all in 30 minutes or less. If you would like to see more recipes like this, like I'm doing today, please take a look at my YouTube channel, or better yet, like and subscribe so you'll get them into your feed every week. So what are we making this week? Good question. Today we are going to be making a delicious balsamic fig relish with seasonal mint and rosemary. And I just happen to have a bunch of mint and rosemary in my garden, which made this the perfect dish for me to be making. But the good news is, because these are seasonal, you'll find them in your grocery store or the farmer's market, even better, around near you. So let's get started. What are we going to be using? Today, I'm going to be using figs. So I have some, I believe they're mission figs, black mission figs that I have gotten. I got a whole container of these, and as you can see, I've used up a lot of them. But, that's always the challenge when you're buying a fresh seasonal vegetable, especially with figs, which tend to ripe very quickly. I'm just going to add some oil to my pot here so it doesn't get too hot, which tend to ripen up very quickly. You want to be able to use that produce. So this was one solution to that. I went online and I looked through different recipes, and I came up with a combination of different recipes that I saw online. And I'm going to be using fresh figs today, some red onion. I'm going to be using balsamic vinegar, and as I mentioned, the mint and the rosemary, some salt and some pepper, and a little bit of jalapeno, which I'm not seeing. Oh, I just found it here. I also have in my garden. That gives it a little bit of heat. If you like that, very good. If you don't, the good thing about cooking on your own is you can leave it out. You can make this dish more savory by leaving out the jalapeno as well. You could even leave out the onion and maybe do it raw, or if you're doing it raw, soak the onion in a little bit of water or vinegar for 20 minutes or so before cutting it. And that helps take some of the bite out of the onion itself. All right, my oil is heating up. I'm just going to set it to the side for a minute. And I'm going to grab a cutting board so I can cut up my onion on that. Now, I'm going to use about let me just say about a quarter. Let's see, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to use here, because this is a rather large onion. I'm going to start out, I'm going to use half the onion. I do like onions, and because this is being cooked, it is going to take some of that bite of the onion out and leave a sweetness that's there. And I'm going to cut this fairly small because I want my relish to have small pieces to make it easier to stack on crackers or to add to cheeses. So I'm cutting these into probably about a quarter inch to maybe an eighth inch dice. And I will show that to you in a second. Hope you all are taking advantage of the wonderful foods that are in season. As I said, I love to cook seasonally. Sometimes it gets to be a little bit of a challenge, though, right? To use up all of that produce that you get. I actually have a farm share, so I'm constantly getting fresh greens from there, and those can go bad. So I'm actually going to be doing a blog this month on how to store and use these fresh seasonal foods so that you get the most benefits out of them. Because the worst thing is to buy these foods or to have them and have them go bad on you. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on the heat here, and I'm going to then just saute. I put in maybe about a tablespoon of olive oil, and I am just going to saute my onion, and I'm going to add a little bit of jalapeno. Now, little secret, If you don't like a real hot dish, and I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to that, what I would suggest is taking the seeds out, because that's where a lot of the heat is stored in the pepper. So I'm just going to do this in a very fine dice. And the other trick is don't rub your eye after handling jalapenos. I've learned the hard way. That really hurts. And I'm just going to do a very fine dice on this because I don't like to bite into big pieces of jalapeno in my dishes. All right, so very small dice there. All right, and I am just going to stir this up and let it start to brown. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's see if we can get this to, there we go. All right, so we're gonna let that just soften. And I just want to get it to the onion starts getting a little bit opaque. In the meantime, let's bring out the star of our show, our figs. All right, figs are wonderful, wonderfully sweet. If you don't want to cook your figs, or say you get a big batch like I have, you can cut them up and put them in your oatmeal in the morning. You can put them in with yogurt. They sweeten things up wonderfully. And I'm always talking about how we don't want to get the pre-sweetened yogurts. Well, nature has ways to sweeten things up just beautifully. And you get the added vitamins and minerals that are found in figs. I was going to do research just to refresh my memory on why figs are so good for us. And I got to do that. So I will put that in later on in the write-up so that you know. Or let me know right now if you're watching. Just put it in the chat there. So I'm going to give this, again, let me just show you what a fresh fig looks like when it's cut. Isn't that beautiful? And it is very soft. Now, you might find that you get some with little spots because they do bruise easily once they ripen. I'm not going to let that bother me when I'm making a dish like this because I'm going to be cooking it up anyway. So I just want to chop these up. I'm doing it in, maybe a 1/2 to 1/4 inch dice. Cut it in half first, as you can see. So you can see this one's a little bit more ripe. It's lost that pink color. The ideal is that beautiful ruby red color that's in there. And ideally, I'd like to get about 2 cups of figs. Now, here's another beautiful one. I have been using these figs and not thinking ahead, I guess. I'm hoping I get about 2 cups in here. I might have just shy of 2 cups, but I'm not going to let that worry me. I think that this is going to make a beautiful, beautiful relish. What's nice about this relish is it is super sweet in and of itself. And as I'm going about developing my recipes, I always look for natural ways of adding sweetness into my recipes because that is more anti-inflammatory. The minute you start adding sugars to a dish, sugars are a highly inflammatory food. They cause things called ages that can settle into our joints or into the heart muscle. And those are the things that start aging us, that cause disease. If ages start locating in the joints, it can lead to inflammation there that leads to arthritis. So we want to be avoiding added sugars whenever possible. Another nice thing is that figs have fiber, which helps slow down the absorption of sugar and keeps our blood sugar levels steady. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, but I've got a lot of figs to chop up. So we're almost done. Wonderful. Okay. So I just set aside this container. By the way, I got my figs from Trader Joe's, but I'm sure they were available at a lot. If you're in California, I'm sure they've been available in your farmers markets for a while now. How wonderful is that? Jealous. All right. So my onions are smelling real good and starting to become translucent. Here are my figs all chopped up. Now, let's see how much we have here. So it's about, maybe we have about 1.5 cups. We're going to work on that. All right. So I'm just going to set this aside for a moment because what I'd like to do is add in some of my vinegar. So I have balsamic vinegar here, and I want to add in, let me grab another measuring cup, a 1/4 cup of, let me just make sure, 1/4 cup of my balsamic vinegar. So I'm just going to add that right into my onions now. Hear that sizzling away, can't you? And that's going to give a little bit of tang in there. Balsamic vinegar has a little bit of sweetness in it as well, so it's adding a little bit of sweetness to it as well. I'm going to add in now my figs. Ooh, come back. Some of them didn't want to come out. I'm doing this just to see how much I have. This is a 1/2 cup measure. So yeah, I'm about at 1.5 cups here. So typically I would shoot for more like two cups of figs. So you could even add more. I had, how many figs did I have? 2, 4, I had 7 figs. So, maybe ideally you'd want at least 10. And it depends on the size of them as well. All right. So I am just going to stir this up now. All right. Show you what it's looking like. All right. Getting a nice mixture in there. I'm down at about a medium-low heat. And what I want to happen is just to have this slowly cook down. The figs will release some of their juices. That will mix in with the balsamic vinegar and the onion that's in there. I want to add in about 1/4. I'm going to give a generous 1/4 teaspoon. And some fresh ground pepper. I like to add in, I use Himalayan pink sea salt, which has some added minerals to it, which is always nice. All right, so let me just mix that in. All right. And typically I just kind of let this sit. I could put a lid on it so that it doesn't get too dry and let that simmer. I'm going to turn my temperature down. As soon as you put the lid on a pot, the temperature builds. All right. So now what I want to do is take some of that fresh mint that I have. Little trick. If you have a stem, go from the top of the stem down to the bottom, and that will take the leaves off. On most herbs. All right, let's see how many I have here. So I'm using, I'd say about 3 or 4 full sprigs. I like a lot of mint flavor in my dishes. Sometimes I find that cooking mint will lessen the intensity. So that's why I want to add it at the end. Let's chop this up and see how much we have. I'm going for maybe about 3 or 4 teaspoons full. Let's see what we end up with. 3 teaspoons is about a tablespoon. That's probably good enough, a tablespoon's worth. And I'm chopping this up. The more I chop it up, the more it releases the oils that are in the leaves. So that's good. All right. So I now have my peppermint chopped up And I'm going to take now, I'm going to start with 2 sprigs of my rosemary. And again, rosemary has a lot of oils in it as well. The oils can be volatile, so I'm going to add them in a little bit later on so it doesn't cook out so much. Remember, we've got that heat from the jalapeno that's in there, which will add some more flavors to this dish. So you're probably wondering, what can I do with a relish, right? Well, I'll show you when we're done. I'll give you some suggestions. I already mentioned putting something in your yogurt. Now, you may not want that jalapeno in your yogurt, so think about that ahead of time. But it works well with meats. So you can use it to top a dish, a meat dish. A chicken dish would be good. You can use it as a snack. You can use, if you decide that you would like to keep some of your figs separately, what I've done is I have put them into my dehydrator. You get little pieces like this, little chewy, kind of chewy, crunchy pieces. I had some kiwi left over, so I put the kiwi in because I didn't want them to go bad. So I dehydrated them. I mixed them in then with some nuts. I have some walnuts in here, some raw walnuts, and some raw almonds. So now I have a delicious little dish, which makes a great little appetizer if you have company coming over. Just another way to use up your figs. And as I said, you can use those figs fresh in your yogurts or your oatmeals because it adds a delicious sweetness to the dish. All right, so let me show you what we have here now. So as you can see, there's a little bit of moisture there, which is good. Those figs are cooking down. It's got a little bit of a tangy smell with that vinegar that we added. I'm going to add in my mint. All right, a little bit more than a tablespoon of mint. And I would say probably about 2 teaspoons worth of my rosemary. So probably about 2 to 1 mint to rosemary. And I'm just going to give that a mix together. All right. And at this point, I can just let it go because everything is cooked up. Here, let me show you what we've got. All right. All right, it is a nice, soft, juicy relish. Just going to turn this off at this point, put the lid on. Now, you could let it simmer for a few more minutes to let those flavors blend. This is the type of dish that the longer that you let it simmer and sit, the more the flavors will blend. So let's show you what I have here. So I made up a little bit ahead of time. We have this wonderful, it's almost like a compote. I wish I had we got a blank surface. I should have worn white so you could see it in contrast. But let me just clean off my countertop here a little bit. All right. All right. And show you a suggestion on how to enjoy your relish. So I have some goat cheese here. Goat cheese is a great contrast, like a nice tangy contrast to the sweet tang of your relish. And it is nice and soft right now. I have a cracker here that I'm just going to add on a little bit of this goat cheese. All right, set that aside. And then I'm just going to spoon a dollop of the relish on each one of my crackers. And this makes a wonderful appetizer, a wonderful snack. You could just use this as a dip. Put it right on that cracker and have it as a fun snack. You'll have it in your refrigerator. It's always good to have a go-to in your refrigerator. In this case, it might be a goat too, but oh, that was bad. All right. Here we go. You might want to put, a little, if you're entertaining, a little leaf from your mint on your crackers, just as a little embellishment. And there you have it. Isn't that great? All right. So, should I taste it? I should. The goat cheese, in contrast to the fig, is fabulous. All right. So that's one idea. You have company coming over. That's a quick, easy appetizer. Now, I mentioned that it goes well with meats. So I have a grilled chicken breast here. I just had the chicken breast marinating in olive oil and some garlic. And what you can do is just put a little bit on top, have a salad next to it, some broccoli, and there you have a main entree. So just a couple of ways that you can use this, and I've used up my figs. Now I got to go back and get some more. I'm enjoying them way too much. Enjoy this time of the year. There's a lot of foods that are coming in season. They're all good and healthy for you. If, again, you enjoy seeing these healthy ways of doing quick, easy meals, by all means, like and subscribe to my channel, and you'll be getting more and more of these, or look back at the ones I've done already. In the meantime, have a great week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Take care for now. Bye-bye.